What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Today is June 22nd of 2022. Yesterday morning, news broke that former NBA player Caleb Swanigan, a first-round draft pick in the 2017 NBA draft, died suddenly at the age of 25. It's being reported that Swanigan died of natural causes in Fort Wayne, Indiana, near his hometown of Indianapolis. If you wish to believe that this was just a story of a death of natural causes of a 25-year-old professional athlete, feel free to turn the video off here and stop watching. There's a stop button down below. There's a back button up above the video. Many ways to stop watching this video. However, if you'd like to know more about the dark aspects of this reality and what's really going on when it comes to the sudden death of actors, athletes, celebrities, then continue watching, and I'm going to explain to you the code by which they are executing these people. So, Caleb Swanigan was born in Indianapolis, Indiana, and spent his entire professional basketball career with the Portland Trail Blazers. These are two very important details to this story. And in this video, we're going to talk about the language of numerology, particularly through the lens of gematria or gematria, the ancient practice of coding numbers into words, names, and phrases. Now, what's so interesting about this man's death is that he was actually nicknamed Biggie. So if we go to Purdue's official men's basketball page, we'll see that he was called Biggie, and this was a nickname you can find for him over the years through his college career. And this stuck out to me immediately because when we talk about people with the nickname Biggie, one famous person comes to mind, the notorious B.I.G., a rapper who died in the year 1997, which happens to be the same year that Caleb Swanigan was born. The death of Notorious B.I.G. was a sacrifice for the 1997 total solar eclipse. Notice how Biggie died on the date March 9th of 1997. On that very same date, there was a total solar eclipse in the Eastern Hemisphere. Looked like north of Mongolia into Russia there. And remember, total solar eclipses are rare events. These only occur about 7 or 8 times per decade. And the fact that Biggie died on March 9th, or 3-9, is very important. In the language of gematria, the name Biggie sums to 39. And again, dead on March 9th, the date that we write as 3-9 in the United States. Also notice how the word eclipse sums to 39 in reverse reduction. Biggie equaling 39, dying on 3-9, like eclipse. So now we get the death of a basketball player whose nickname was Biggie, and this too is heavily connected to this code of total solar eclipses. So let's get into this. Swanigan died on June 20th of 2022. And once again, this is connected to the two great American total solar eclipses. Swanigan was born in the city of Indianapolis, which is one of the largest cities in the United States, to sit directly in the path of the 2024 total solar eclipse. In 2017, Swanigan was drafted to play for the Portland Trail Blazers. And of course, Portland is in Oregon, which is the state that was the first to see the 2017 total solar eclipse. 2017, the same year that Swanigan was drafted to play for the Trailblazers. And just think about the name Trailblazers. These eclipse paths blaze a trail across the United States. We'll talk more about that team's name in a little bit. So again, he was born in Indianapolis, which sits in the path of the 2024 eclipse. And played for Portland. And Oregon is the state that first sees both the 2017 total eclipse and also the 2023 annular eclipse next October. In the standard reduction or Pythagorean method of gematria, the phrase ritual human sacrifice has matching 94 gematria with Indianapolis, Indiana. Measuring from the death of Caleb Swanigan to the date of this 2024 eclipse over Indianapolis is exactly 94 weeks. On the date he died, Swanigan was exactly 9,194 days old. This man played college basketball for Purdue, and notice how Purdue Boilermaker sums to 194 using the standard alphabetic order. His death fell on the date that even leaves 194 days in the year. So clearly the number 94 is heavily significant to his death. Well, if you measure from his date of birth in the year 1997 to this eclipse over his hometown, he would have been 1,407 weeks old. In the alphabetic order and English extended, the number 94 sums to 147 in both methods. He died in Fort Wayne, Indiana, which has abbreviated gematria of 147 in reverse. On top of all of this, the city of Indianapolis has matching gematria with the number 94 in reverse. Next, we're going to look at Latin or Jewish gematria. This cipher is based on the original Latin alphabetic order, and you'll notice the more modern characters, new to the English alphabet, J, V, and W, are placed at the end of this cipher. And I consider this to be the most important method in gematria. See my link below under helpful links in the description that explains why this cipher is so heavily connected to the eclipse code. Measuring from the Indianapolis eclipse to the death of Swanigan, we get a span of 1 year, 9 months, and 20 days, representing the numbers 192. The word eclipse in this method sums to 192. Swanigan's death fell exactly 4 years and 10 months after the first Great American Eclipse over Oregon, where he played pro ball. The word ritual sums to 410 in the same cipher. The word sacrifice sums to 206, and this connects to the date he died, the 20th of June, or 20/6, in the year 2022, and eclipse equals 222 in English. Furthermore, the phrase ritual sacrifice equals 616, and his death fell 6 months and 16 days after the most recent total eclipse from December of last year. In reduction, the word eclipse equals 33. The state of Oregon was the 33rd state admitted to the Union, and it's abbreviated OR, which sums to 33. Swanigan died 303 days before his upcoming birthday. It was also 3 days into his 303rd month since he was born. On top of that, his death also fell 303 days after the 4th anniversary of the first Great American Eclipse over Oregon. This number 433 is also significant because solar eclipse equals 433 in that significant Jewish method. This 2024 eclipse that passes over Indianapolis is first seen in the country of Mexico. Swanigan's team, the Portland Trail Blazers, became the first team in the NBA to hire a Mexican-American head coach back in 2012 when Caleb Canales was promoted as interim head coach a few years before Swanigan was drafted. And notice how he shares the same first name with Caleb Swanigan. When Canales was hired as head coach, he was 33 years old. 33, like the gematria of Eclipse and Mexico. Think about how the state of Texas will be the first U.S. state to see this eclipse. These all also sum to 69. And the number 69 is very significant here as well. Consider how the Portland Trail Blazers logo is essentially in the shape of a 69. Now, we're told that the 5 lines in each of these numbers represent the 5 players on the court, but when you have occult knowledge, it's very clear to see what this really represents. In fact, in reverse reduction, the city Portland, Oregon, sums to 69, a lot like the Trailblazers logo. Swanigan wore number 50 during his time with the Trailblazers. Also in college, he wore number 50. Notice how the number 50 sums to 69 in reverse. Caleb Canales was hired as the head coach of the Trailblazers exactly 778 weeks after Caleb Swanigan was born, with the end date included. In ancient Greek isopsephy, one of the original languages of gematria, the word eclipse equals 778. Think about how there's a player in the NBA named the Greek Freak, right? Well, in Greek isopsephy, the Greek Freak's name sums to 1778. But there's something interesting about this, another synchronicity with the name Caleb. Caleb Swanigan died on June 20th, and on that very same date, the Chicago Cubs had a starting pitcher named Caleb Killian, who made his third and final Major League Baseball start before getting sent back down to AAA. And this was a big story in Chicago because here was a really promising pitcher who came up to the big leagues and just shit all over the place, basically. Well, notice how Caleb Killian wears number 45 for the Cubs. He was born 45 days after Caleb Swanigan, and in the alphabetic order, Cubs sums to 45. But there's even a stronger synchronicity with this guy, and when I saw him pitch at Wrigley Field on June 15th, I saw this name Killian, and I said, there's something about this coming up. I just knew it. Caleb Killian was born on the date June 2nd. June 2nd is the date that actor Richard Dawson died in the year 2012, and this is significant because in a film called The Running Man from 1987, Richard Dawson played a character named Killian. He was the main antagonist of this film. Now, last month, in early May, I made a video on the Kentucky Derby about how this was a Jesuit magic ritual connected to actor Richard Dawson. And the connection there was simple to make. The owner of the horse who won the Kentucky Derby was named Richard Dawson. Dawson was a TV host in the 1970s, just like Sonny Bono. And the jockey of the horse was named Sonny Leon, whose last name matches Bono. My video on the Kentucky Derby is also linked in the description below. It's one of my best videos I ever made. Please check that out. So when I saw this guy named Killian, it reminded me of this Richard Dawson riddle from last month, and sure enough, we get something connected to this guy, a major sacrifice. On the date that Caleb Swanigan died, Caleb Killian was exactly 1,307 weeks old. In the alphabetic order, Richard Dawson sums to 137. 137, by the way, this is the 33rd prime number, a big eclipse number that we've been covering throughout this video. So in this movie, The Running Man, here we see Killian talking to the main character of the film, Arnold Alois Schwarzenegger. Notice how his name sums to 126 in the standard Pythagorean method. Caleb Killian's full name, Caleb John Killian, also has this 126 value. And this 126 is very significant to the career of Caleb Swanigan. Notice how he was drafted in round 1 at the 26th pick. 126. And consider how significant of a number 126 is in connection to the death of basketball players. Back in 2020, Kobe Bryant died on the date January 26th. Again, 126. Swanigan's full name sums to 1026 in Satanic Gematria. His hometown sums to 1206 in Sumerian. And the team he was drafted by, the Portland Trailblazers, equals 126. Well, last year, the Trailblazers hired a new head coach, Chauncey Billups, whose name also has this 1026 gematria. Chauncey Billups was drafted in the year 1997, which is the same year that Caleb Swanigan was born. He was born 68 days before Chauncey was drafted, and then he would go on to die on a date with primary numerology of 68. 68 is an important number for basketball rituals. Notice how basketball sums to 68. This basketball player from Purdue, which equals 32, the date also had 32 numerology. Swanigan's date of death also had standard numerology of 48, and the name Caleb Swanigan sums to 48 in the standard reduction method. When I started this video, I talked about how Caleb Swanigan had a nickname, Biggie, which connected us to the Eclipse sacrifice of Biggie Smalls. Well, look how old Biggie Smalls would have been when Caleb Swanigan was born, a span of exactly 9,099 days old. The number 999 is an upside-down 666. And every couple of days, I mention this in one of my posts, the number 666 essentially represents the geometry of the moon, earth, and sun, and is highly significant to this solar eclipse code. In Sumerian gematria, which is the alphabetic order times 6, the name Caleb Swanigan sums to 666. Notice all of the overlap his name has with Indianapolis, Indiana, 338, his hometown, which we'll see the next eclipse. I covered most of this information in the slides, but I did want to share a little bit more synchronicity with Chauncey Billups, who again was hired as the Portland Trailblazers coach last year. Portland, the team that Caleb spent his whole NBA career with. And my mistake, he did actually play for the Sacramento Kings for a season, but he finished and ended his career with the Trailblazers. So as I mentioned, Swanigan was born in 97, which is the same year that Chauncey Billups was drafted. Notice how the word death equals 97. The phrase eclipse sacrifice also 97. Chauncey Billups' birthday, September 25th, is the date that leaves 97 days in the year. Swanigan's death 2 days ago fell 97 days before Chauncey Billups' upcoming birthday. And it'll even be his 46th birthday, which is a number of sacrifice, 46. Again, Swanigan dying on the 20th of June, or 206. 97 is also a prime number. See here the 25th prime number. 25, like the age Swanigan was when he passed away, 25. Chauncey Billups was born on the 25th day of the month. And notice how the word death also has this gematria of 25. All right, everyone, thanks for watching. Peace, love, God bless, and we'll talk to you next time. See ya.